Hello everybody, welcome to another Yu-Gi-Oh video. I'm Asmo, and, well, if you're on this video, that means that you're looking to learn or play Traptrix, which is great, because right now, Traptrix has never been better. With a multitude of players spending only about $30 just for the structure decks to win anywhere from a locals to even a YCS, it's no wonder people are considering it a tier 1 contender, and that's probably why you're here, right? Today I will teach you must-know combos, checks and counters for other strategies, as well as the weaknesses and how to deal with them. First things first, welcome to my channel. I make a variety of videos from Yu-Gi-Oh to horror content, so if those interest you at all, it would mean the world to me if you liked and subscribed. Now, before we get into the combo side of the video, I would like to say that Traptrix is an incredibly versatile deck capable of many variants, as well as completely changing its playstyle based on the current meta. However, there is another thing to keep in mind while you're watching this video. The success of Traptrix depends not only on your deck building, but also on the knowledge you possess of the game and the meta. It is imperative that you know what is good or not against the meta in order for you to succeed with this deck. Because if you're over here flipping like Floodgate Trap Hole on a Fallen of Albaz, you're gonna get your shit pushed in, okay? And I am here to teach you how to hit the correct things in your matchups. Let's go ahead and get into the combos. Now, our first combos are going to be 1.5 card combos, and the reason that we call them 1.5 card combos is because the 0.5 is a discard. And for your discard, you're going to be needing any normal trap. Preferably, you want it to be a trap hole card, and I'll get into the reason for that in a second. And your other two cards that are going to be the 1-card combos are your Mantis and your Myrmelio. So, to start the combo off, first I'm going to be going over the Myrmelio line. So you will be normal summoning Myrmelio and activating the effect to search for a whole normal trap card. So, in the case that you did not open Holtea, you typically search Holtea, and then immediately afterwards you're going to link summon for Traptrix Sarah, after which you're going to set the Holtea that you searched, and then activate it, discarding the trap hole in your hand to summon. Once this interaction is done, you'll go Sarah effect, separate chain, as chain link 1, and this will special summon out your Dionea. Now, if you did not open a trap hole to do this interaction, you can also summon Myrmelio from the deck, or Mantis, and Myrmelio is a forced activation because the card was printed in like sub 2005 or some shit, and it does not say you can when it's special summoned, it says do this, which is why it is a mandatory activation. It will resolve without effect, but it will still trigger Sarah. So when you summon the Dionea, you will reset the trap hole that you discarded off of Holtea, and then you'll activate Sarah as a separate chain once more. And this will set any trap holes that you really are probably just going to want for whatever matchup you're facing against. So, for example, for Kashtira, if you have Floodgate, you might go for Nightmare, or you might go for Terrifying. Or another Floodgate if you have another Floodgate. So you'll set that from deck, and this is public knowledge, so at any point during the first turn that you set them, your opponent may look at them, but after the first turn they can no longer see what they are. And then you'll be going into essentially any XYZ you want. You can go into the Pangecula line to grab your Arachnacampa if you're afraid of Harpy's Feather Duster, or cards very similar to that. But for this example, we will be going into Rafflesia because it is the safest line. Because not only does it protect your Sarah from destruction by battle card effects or targeting, but she also is able to send a trap hole from the main deck to the graveyard as cost, so it cannot be ashed. That meets its requirements to do something to a monster your opponent has summoned. For the second 1.5 card combo, it is Mantis and any discard. So you'll be normal summoning your Mantis and activating the effect to search for Arachnacampa. And the reason you search Arachnacampa is because it is a quick effect in hand while you control a Traptrix monster that can trigger Sarah. So you'll link off your Mantis for your Traptrix Sarah, and then you will quick effect activate Arachnacampa to summon itself. On resolution separate chain, you'll activate Sarah to set a trap hole from deck, which is typically Holtea, again if you do not have access to it. And then you'll activate your Holtea to discard a trap hole, or any normal trap to summon itself. Sarah will trigger as a separate chain, summoning Dionea from the deck, and resetting the card you discarded. And at which point you will be making another XYZ. If you want to extend further and you want to end on 2 XYZs here, instead of Rafflesia for this line with Arachnocampa protecting your back row, you can actually go Pingicula to search for something, but this interaction here is usually going to need a garden, which I will be showing very shortly. For your 2.5 card combos, I have laid out just a few of them here, which is any normal summon plus Xseed, Pudica plus nearly any normal summon. The best ones are Mantis Myrmelio or Dionea, and then any normal summon plus Holtea. And now for all of these, you're typically also going to need a discard, which will just be your 0.5 over here. You don't always need a discard to do these combos, it's just what you use Holtea for, because all of these combos will get you access to Holtea. Starting us off, you will normal summon a Dionea. This is worst case scenario, is you open a Dionea, so no effect on summon to get you more advantage. You'll link it off for Sarah, and then here you go Xseed effect. So you will Xseed effect, summon itself to a zone, and then summon another Xseed from deck, and they become level 4. Now, since this is worst case scenario, typically if you had like Mantis here, you would grab Arachnocampa, or if you had Myrmelio here, you would get Holtea or a trap hole to discard off of Holtea, which is why Dionea is worst case scenario, because here you can go for Pudica, or excuse me, Pingicula, and then you activate Pingicula effect to search for your Arachnocampa, which gives you access to Holtea in this worst case scenario. So then you'll activate Arachnocampa, summoning itself, and then separate chain Sarah to set from the deck Holtea. Activating the Holtea, you'll discard any normal trap, summon itself, and then Sarah effect to summon Dio from deck if you have a trap hole in your graveyard, or Myrmelio if you don't, resetting it. And then from here, you can make Rafflesia. Now, something I would like to explain a little bit before we go any further is, if you get Nibiru'd mid-combo and you have Holtea in your graveyard, you can go Holtea effect to resummon a Sarah, or God forbid Pingicula or Rafflesia, which will have no materials, so there's zero reason why you should do that. But typically you'll revive Sarah just so you have something on your end board. And if you have Garden, you can use Garden to banish the Nibiru token and resummon Sarah from grave. Just something to keep in mind. So that was worst case scenario. And worst case scenario is that you will not have access to Rafflesia before your 5th summon, right? Now, best case scenario is probably either Mantis or Myrmelio, and the reason for that is because you can normal Mantis effect, you search for your Arachnocampa, link this off for Sarah, Xseed effect to summon itself, and then Xseed effect to summon one from deck. This makes Rafflesia on 5th summon. So now you can dodge Nibiru. They probably Ash this here, because if you opened Xseed combo, then they're going to try to prevent you from making rank 4s as much as possible. And if they do that, then it's great bait, because you can activate Arachnocampa in hand to summon itself, Sarah, separate chain, to set Holtea from deck, and then you just do it anyway. And now this is the double Rafflesia line here with Arachnocampa. So after summoning Dio and resetting something with Dio, you can either make Pingicula if it's a branded matchup, or you can make another Rafflesia. And now this is extremely strong, because now your entire board is nearly Dragoon protected. So you have these two protecting each other, because your opponent cannot target other Traptrix monsters with cards or effects, or destroy them by card effects, or by battle. So now these two protect each other, and these two protect everything else as well, while Arachnocampa is protecting your back row once each, which is extremely strong. The only true outs to this board are things like Evenly, Lava Golem, so on and so forth. Now, if you opened Myrmelio in this combo, Myrmelio can give you a lot of different interactions as well. One thing that is extremely important to remember as well is you want to make Rafflesia as often on 5th summon as possible, and it's only because Nibiru is extremely common right now in the current meta, with Kashira, Branded, Sword Soul, all 3 of these decks being top decks in the format right now, and all 3 of them are capable of being Nibiru'd, as well as this deck. You want to be able to play safely through hand traps and through board breakers. Okay, so another 2.5 card combo is the Putica plus a normal summon line, as well as your discard. And here you'll go normal summon Putica, search for your Traptrix Garden, and you'll link this off into Sarah. If you opened Xseed here, that's another line which is part of the 3+ card combo portion of the video. I'll showcase that in a little bit. Now here you go activate the garden, normal summon the Mantis, and activate its effect to search for Arachnocampa. Here you go Sarah separate chain to set Holtea from deck, and then you'll activate Holtea here, discarding the Floodgate Trap Hole to summon itself, and summoning Dionea from deck. Dionea will activate its effect, resetting the card you discarded, and you can also go activate Arachnocampa to special summon. Now here you can do double Rafflesia, you can do Rafflesia Redoer, you can do Pingicula Redoer, Pingicula Redoer, Pingicula Rafflesia. In this specific scenario, if you want to make a very safe play, I would go Rafflesia first, and then Pingicula second, just in case they were holding the Ash, which I don't know why they would. If they don't Ash the Sarah, they do not know the matchup very well. So now you go Pingicula effect, detach, and search for another Arachnocampa. And so now on your opponent's turn, you can quick effect, summon this, set with Sarah, and you have Rafflesia, back row, and if they go like Branded Fusion, you attach the Albaz to this. Now, in the event that you open a Putica and a Dionea and you're thinking to yourself, oh, this is bad, this is actually really good. Because you can normal summon Putica, add your garden, right? Link it off for Sarah. And this still gives you access to Holtea, because you activate your garden, normal the Dionea, and special the Putica. And then Sarah effect, set Holtea from deck. Now, here you can make Rafflesia before your 5th summon. Then you activate Holtea, discard, summon Dio from deck, or just whatever you want, really. Anything, it doesn't really matter. Reset the trap hole you discarded, another Rafflesia. Or Pingicula if you want to search for Arachnocampa. A lot of the combo lines are very malleable, which is why you can essentially make whatever you're missing, or whatever is going to help you in the matchup the most. For your 3 or more card combos, I've got a few of them. This one, Putica plus any normal summon that can activate its effect, plus Xseed, is very good, because this will most times end you on double Rafflesia or whatever you need. It'll end you on 2 XYZs, and then sometimes as well an Arachnocampa. So you go normal Putica, grab your garden, link the Putica off for Sarah, and activate your Xseed to summon itself, and then summon another Xseed from deck, and overlay these 2 for Rafflesia. Protect against Nibiru because this is the 5th summon. Then activate your garden and normal summon whatever normal summon you have. So in this case Mantis, which grabs you Arachnocampa, and then Sarah effect, set Holtea from deck. And if you have a discard for this, you can also do the discard. This line in particular, you can go activate Holtea, discard, summon Dionea, reset the hole that you discarded if you discarded a hole. If you didn't, you can summon whatever here. Then do these 2 for another Rafflesia. And then you can activate the Arachnocampa in hand to summon itself and make Pingicula here. And these can be pretty much anything. If you really wanted to, you can do Tornado Redoer, just anything, it doesn't matter. Except for the one that you summon with Arachnocampa, because Arachnocampa locks you into plant and insects for the rest of the turn. So the one you make after Arachnocampa effect is going to have to be a plant or insect. So it would probably be like Rafflesia as the very last one, and then Redoer, Tornado Dragon, you know. Make sure that you have your trap under Redoer, because that's essentially the only reason we play Redoer, is that we're able to consistently put a trap underneath it. Another 3-card combo, 3 or more card combo, 3.5 card combo, something like that, is Myrmelio, Holtea, Exceed. You're going to realize a lot of these combos are very similar to each other in how they're executed. And really all it is just the difference in variation of cards in your hand. So here we'll normal summon the Myrmelio, grab a discard. We'll link this off for Sarah. Exceed effect. You've seen this before plenty of times already. This gets you Rafflesia on your 5th summon. And then here you Holtea, discard, summon Sarah effect. Summon Dionea. Reset the hole. In cases where you open Myrmelio and you normal summon her, you're always going to end up special summoning Dionea from deck with Sarah, because you will almost always have a hole in hand. So Dionea resets this from grave, and then you'll trigger Sarah to set from deck. And then here you can go for a second Rafflesia, Pingicula, whatever you need. So in this case I'm going to do Pingicula because getting hit by back row hate is not entirely uncommon at the moment, due to not only this deck, but also Labyrinth. So now here you've got Holtea access in grave with a Myrmelio, Pingicula to attach things, Rafflesia to send from deck and then do something to your opponent's monsters, Sarah interruption by summoning a Pudica from deck to banish something, or you can loop double Myrmelio so you can go Holtea effect, banish, summon, effect after activating a trap hole to summon another Myrmelio. Not to mention how difficult it is for a lot of decks to break these boards because of how much protection you're going to end up having once you're done doing your full combo. Now, you probably already know this, but in order to create a Nibiru-Proof board, you need access to a normal summon and either Holtea or Exceed, because your 5th summon is always going to be from one of these two. So for instance, when you normal the Arachnocampa, you make Sarah, you Exceed effect, Rafflesia is your 5th summon. And in the same instance, when you normal summon, you make Sarah, you go Holtea effect, your 5th summon is still going to be Rafflesia. And that is the deck's main way of preventing Nibiru from ruining your board. In the instance where you've already been Nibiru'd because you decided to try to pop off and your opponent punished you for it, Holtea and Garden are your go-to cards to be able to still make a board through Nibiru, because Holtea can resummon Sarah from your graveyard, or any Traptrix from your graveyard. Most times I end up usually summoning Pudica from the graveyard, or Myrmelio, matchup dependent, in order to get some value off of it from its special summon effect, rather than summoning Sarah, because Sarah doesn't innately do anything unless you're activating a trap card. And then in the case of Traptrix Garden, you just banish the Nibiru token, activating its effect to summon a Traptrix from your graveyard. In most cases you do Sarah. In almost every case you do Sarah. As far as checks and counters go for certain matchups against a Labyrinth, you're going to be utilizing these cards the most. I side Heavy Storm Dusters, because if you activate Heavy Storm Duster with Sarah on field, you're getting a total of 3 pops. You'll go activate Storm Duster, destroy 2 spells and traps, and then Sarah effect summon Myrmelio from deck to destroy another one. And then also triggering Sarah effect, you'll want to set these two, Floodgate and Gravedigger, because Lady is an activated effect in hand, which you can negate with Gravedigger, and also, when it's summoned, you can Floodgate it to flip it face down because this card does not target. And once it's flipped face down, you can then go Pudica effect to banish it, and then attach it with Pingicula. Redoer is also really good because the trap underneath it bounces the card to the top of the deck, a face-up card, which is almost always Lady. Lady is your biggest issue in this deck. And your main things are going to be removing their back row to get rid of Lady's protection, and also removing Lady from the field. In your Keshtira matchup, your main things, as far as traps are going to go, is going to be Floodgate Trap Hole and Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare. Because this, if they have a face-down monster on the board, they can't continue to special summon their things from hand, except for very niche things like Keshtira Scareclaw, or the Keshtira Tear Elements card, and then a Rise Heart. And with those, you can still you can still out them pretty easily because really all you need is Floodgate, and if they opened any of those, you just need one other or two other interruptions. Oedipus and Zeus are your board breakers going into their boards, and they're almost always going to rip this card out of your extra deck. Because if they lock all of your back row, you can still make an upwards of 2 to 3 XYZs. So they have to rip Zeus out of your extra deck, or they're going to lose their entire board. I had a catch tier player who locked only 3 of my back row zones, and the first thing I did was normal summon Sarah, Exceed effect, and I just went into Pangicula, hit Shangri-Ira, made Zeus, wiped the board. Usually that's enough to win you the game too, because they're staring at, like, I mean, obviously a 3k body, but then you have however many other back row that you have on your back row. Oedipus is just in case you're only running one Zeus though, and they end up banishing the Zeus, because you can Oedipus negate everything and then pop everything, and because Shangri-Ira's protection is negated, then they can't protect it. And then Redoer is just, if they summon Unicorn or Fenrir, you just Redoer effect, bounce it to the top of the deck. You can also bounce Rebirth, which is really good, but typically if they have Rebirth, I just summon Myrmelio and destroy it, because once it's gone, they're really going to be struggling. Against Branded, your MVP cards are going to be Rafflesia, Myrmelio, Pudica, Gravedigger, and Bottomless, and the reason for these is because Bottomless prevents them from normal summoning Albaz against you, because if they normal summon Albaz against you and you're not running Bottomless, they're going to take your whole board, and you can't stop it. Flipping Albaz face down doesn't do anything, you can't Nightmare Trap Hole it, you can't Terrifying it, so Bottomless is the for sure out to normal summon Albaz, and it also stops things like Lubellion and various other things like that. And Gravedigger is just for any grave effects that they might have, like Cartesia to add to hand or whatever. Pudica, if they decide to go Branded Fusion, you can go Holtea effect, engrave, summon the Pudica, banish the Lubellion or the Mirror Jade. Myrmelio is for Branded Lost, the continuous spell that prevents you from responding to their fusion cards. If they activate Branded Lost and you can't out it quick enough and they go Branded Fusion, you're just at a loss. Like, there's not much you can do against that. So Myrmelio is extremely important for getting rid of Lost. And another MVP card is Pangicula, because when they go Branded Fusion, you attach the Albaz that they sent to her, and now they're the monster they summoned, which Lubellion and the other one, I can't remember the name, those are going to quote-unquote fizzle or resolve without effect, because they will not have Fallen of Albaz in the graveyard to finish resolving its effect to fusion summon. Against Sword Soul, Pudica, Gravedigger, Floodgate, Chapel, Nightmare, a lot of your kit is really turned on against them. They do a lot of the things that the deck that Traptrix is very good at stopping, so there's not really like one particular thing you need to do to stop their board. But Gravedigger stops Long Yawn, Floodgate stops Moye, Long Yawn, pretty much everything. Nightmare stops Baron, it stops Shishao, it stops a lot of their extra deck toolbox. And Pudica, you can Pudica effect on special summon to banish their token, and if they don't have another banished monster by next standby phase, then they won't get a monster back, because tokens can't be revived from the banished zone, obviously. In the mirror match, so Traptrix versus Traptrix, your most important cards that are within Engine are going to be Heavy Storm Duster, Myrmelio, Oedipus, and Rafflesia. And the reason for this is because Oedipus, the late game of the mirror match, really comes down to who can make the biggest bodies. And if you're running 2 Oedipus, and you're able to make 2 Oedipus, it's usually just game from there, because none of their traps are going to be able to affect any of your Traptrix monsters, unless they're running things like Torrential for the normal summons or whatever. And Rafflesia is extremely important because when you send a trap hole from the deck, so let's say I send Floodgate Trap Hole, this is not being treated as a trap effect, this is being treated as a monster effect. So if they go normal summon Myrmelio and you activate Rafflesia effect to send Floodgate from the deck, it's going to get flipped face down, because it's being treated as a monster effect applying to the Traptrix monster and not a whole normal trap card, which is why this is extremely important. Also, you can Gravedigger, Exceed, you can stop pretty much any other out-of-engine extra deck monsters they may have. And this is the same logic as Stormduster and Myrmelio versus Labyrinth, where you just want to get rid of their backrobe just because. So for weaknesses and how to mitigate them, Traptrix loses a lot of advantage to board tributes such as Kaijus, Lava Golem, occasionally Sphere Mode, things like that. Player-affecting cards such as Evenly and Dharma Cannon. Dragoon-protected bodies, such as obviously Dragoon, Lady Labyrinth, or otherwise tower-type cards. And also the big one is spells and non-normal traps, which is just Runic, Skill Drain. I guess occasionally there's like a striker player here and there. And in order to mitigate these weaknesses for board tributes, typically you can play around them with Holtea, Graveyard Effect. You can make multiples of various cards, like you can make multiple Rafflesia, multiple Sarahs, etc. Or player affecting cards like Evenly, or Dharma Cannon, Lancia Judgment, Pointer of the Lotus for cards in that vein. Or just popping their stuff before they can activate it. So like Dharma Cannon, you want to get rid of it as quickly as possible. You may not know it's there, but if they have set cards, at the end phase you should be trying to pop them with Myrmelio. For Dragoon protected bodies, you want to bait them if they have a negate, and then utilize your tools to remove them. So for example, bait the negate of Dragoon, and then activate Nightmare Trap Hole to negate the effect to negate and destroy it. Or like Floodgate Trap Hole so that you can actually Pudica affect it. Make Zeus, make Oedipus, make your stuff really big, and then attempt to hit over them. For a lady, flipping her face down or using Gravedigger to negate her effect in hand is really good. And then for spells and non-normal traps, so like Runic, Skill Drain, things in that vein, you want to set up mass spell and trap destruction. So for example, the Stormduster and Sarah combo. Or you want to go second with Board Breakers. It is very viable to go against a trap deck like a Labyrinth and just main deck a shit ton of back row hate. Like, Evenly, you don't want to do like Harpies, Feather Duster, or Lightning Storm, and the reason for that is because if you do, they go, okay, cool, activate a normal trap, chain Lady, I'm gonna set Waking the Dragon or Boo Boo Game from the deck. And then they get advantage off of you popping their stuff. And it's gonna be extremely hard to break their boards if you go Harpies, Feather Duster, they set Waking, and then they summon Dragoon off of it. And then some other honorable mentions are cards like Anti-Spell Fragrance, Solemn Judgment, Lancia, Droll and Lockbird, Dimensional Barrier, things like that. A lot of it is matchup dependent, and in order to mitigate your weaknesses and taking advantage of your opponent's weaknesses, you really have to pay attention to the meta. And when I say meta, I don't just mean the meta of the game itself, but wherever you're going. So if there are people at your locals who are playing things like Cubic, you want to have a bunch of cards that specifically can stop Cubic, like Ash Blossom, like Torrential Tribute, things very similar to that. Or if you got someone at your locals, or if you know you're going to a regional with a lot of players who make Dragoon, you might want to side deck Kaijus. So just put some thought into the types of decks you think you're going to be seeing, or you know you're going to be seeing, and prepare for them. Because at the end of the day, your deck building and your ability to process the meta is where a lot of your success is going to come from. Opening hands be damned. But I hope you guys enjoyed the little combo tutorial slash tips and tricks video. If you like the content, give me a subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And if you want to see a deck profile, just let me know down in the comments if you'd like to see it. And thanks again. Hope you guys have a good one. See ya.